Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Momentum Monday. I am your co-host, Dr. Dan Cardellichio. I'm here with my friend and my co-host, leadership expert, attorney, Jen Garrett. Jen, how are you today?
Good morning, Dr. Dan. I'm super excited because today is International Women's Day. So it's a fantastic day to get some things moving, and it's also a Monday. So let's get some momentum behind it.
Let's get some momentum behind it. And for those of you who don't know, attorney Jen has written the best-selling book, Move the Ball. Great book. I've read it several times thus far. Game changer. But today, International Women's Day. Let's talk about women and they've been agents of change in the world. Okay.
Yes.
All right. This is something that you and I are passionate about. So let's discuss this today and let's move the ball for everybody. So Jen, what are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, so March is Women's Month. So the whole month is designed to recognize women, but today is International Women's Day, which is really a day to recognize and honor all the great women across the globe who are just really doing amazing things, spearheading change, really trying to make a big impact on the world and make it a better place. So I'm excited that we were able to have a broadcast on International Women's Day and then just kind of lined up today.
That sounds great. So tell me, do you have a role model for International Women's Day? Who are they and why and what did they do?
Yeah, I don't have a big role model, like a public figure. I will say that, if there was a woman that's really been influential in my life, it's my mother. And a lot of people tend to say that, right? That's their go-to. It's my mom. My mom did stuff. But my mom was the first generation in this country. She came here from the Philippines in the 1960s. So I want people to think about that because this is before social media. This is before the internet. So you're going across the Pacific Ocean in the 1960s to a completely new land. There's no, let me go on Google and see what this place is like, right? Let me try to connect. Like, you're just going on faith. Like, this is the right move. You're saying goodbye to your family and you're, going to a faraway land. So for me, that's a lot of courage to do that, first of all, right? To take that leap of faith and say, yep, I'm going to go and it's going to work out and I'm leaving everything I know behind to go do this. So that's one. And my mom is just a very compassionate, a very giving person throughout her life. Hardworking, of course, but she was a nurse, but very much cared tremendously about the people that she served. She always stayed late to make sure that people were taken care of. And I mean, even for me, we talk about in Move the Ball, having your team, right? I mean, people reach out all the time. Well, how do you have 7 degrees? Or how do you do this? Or how do you do that? And we've talked before, I was a single parent. I was a teenage single parent, but didn't have my parents and my mom specifically. I wouldn't have achieved all these things because that support was just an important and incredible piece of me being able to do everything that I've done.
I agree with you. And I have a similar experience here also, coming from an immigrant family, and they came here and parents and so forth, where they came over and, it's the typical story, nothing on their back. And my mother was the glue that kept everything together. She was a strong woman. She's still a strong woman. And, just a little sidebar, everybody, all my friends always came to mom for advice, especially when it came to boyfriends and girlfriends. So it was rather funny. But, I was listening to a podcast the other day. It was with Tony Robbins and Sarah Blakely from Spanx, and how she really moved the ball. And it's a very inspiring story on how she manifested. And she said that her one of her passions is to, there's an untapped resource in this country and in the world, and that's females. And she's very passionate about helping females achieve their goals and moving forward. And just listening to her story, where she just went to Neiman Marcus with her product, and every single day she was selling and selling and selling. Anybody can do anything, no matter who you are, right? And you can, one of the great things, and Warren Buffett said this about her, this is what's great about this country. You could be anybody, and you can make it in this country. You could do what you want. You could be an entrepreneur. You could be a shoemaker, whatever it is. If I was going to be a shoemaker, my family said, you got to be the best shoemaker in the world. That's just the way it was. So it's a very inspiring story to hear about females, move the ball and make it. Correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to share a quote. So I am going to reveal that I have watched the show Ballers. It's one of my favorite shows. And there's a quote in there that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson says in his character about how there's two types of people in this world. There are those that believe they can do anything, and there's that think they can't. So which one are you, right? He's talking to his business partner about which one are you? We're going to go after this or not. And that's true. I mean, for anybody, whether you're a male or a female, that holds true. But when you look at today, as we're celebrating International Women's Day, those women that believe that they could do anything and they went after it is what's pretty cool to see, just all the great things that are being done by women across the globe today.
Right. And you're an inspiration, Jen, just to let you know, you're an inspiration to me and you're an inspiration to our viewers. I mean, single, teenage mom. How many degrees do you have? It says it right there, U.S. Army, JAG Corps. I mean, you've done, and whatever you've set out to do, you've been able to do without fail.
Well, thank you. And I have 7 degrees, so I am crazy a little, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. And for those of you who are listening in, I know she's crazy, just a little bit. But anyway.
I love it.
But I don't know. Well, that's for a podcast when Jen's not here, so she doesn't get mad at me. It is inspiring to see, females, get out there and go. I've always been a big supporter. I've always been a big proponent, and to me, it doesn't make any difference who you are, what you are, or how you are. You want to come to the country, you could be anything you want. I love that about Ballers, though. You believe that you can do, and you believe if that's what you believe, that's what's going to happen. If you believe the opposite, in my life, I believe I can do anything I put my mind to. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and both people are right. If you believe you can do anything, then you will. If you believe you can't, then you won't. I mean, it all starts with what you think up here, and if you manifest the right thoughts, it's going to happen. It may not happen the day that you want it to, but it will happen if you continue to believe that you can. And you keep taking the action to get there. Yesterday on my Instagram story, I had this series of posts where I posted a picture of me with the 5 Lombardi trophies from San Francisco. And I had this caption. I don't know if you saw it, Dan, but I was just like, years ago. Okay. I said, years ago, they said, no one in the NFL cares about what you have to say. And then in parentheses, I wrote, I didn't listen, because I didn't listen because I believed that I could do what I had set out to do. Right. And then the next post in the story was a picture with me at this NFL alumni event holding up my book. And then I was like, it's a damn good thing that I didn't listen. Right. And that's the thing, like, you have to stay focused to what's important to you, believe that you can. And there's going to be these voices, telling you can't do something. They might be in your head sometimes too, but there's going to be these external people that are telling you, no, you can't do it, or no one cares what you have to say, or no one's going to buy this from you. And you just have to block out the noise, block that out, and just keep doing you.
And you know what? Mindset is where it's at. It's all about mindset. What do you believe about yourself? What are your views of the world? What are your views of yourself, your family, your friends? Who are you with? And I listen to a lot of podcasts because, as you know, I'm traveling a lot, going to hockey games. So I have to. Yeah, this weekend it was a 2.5 hour ride one way. Wow, it was a long ride.
Oh wow. Mm-hmm.
But 5 hours of podcast, and I was listening to Pitbull, and he was talking about how he came, how he comes from Cuban immigrants, and it's all mindset, and how life is a game, and you need to fail, and then you need to figure it out. Because if you don't figure it out, and if you play it safe, and if you're not moving the ball, you're not going to get anywhere. But you can do whatever you want. And again, I'm going to go back to Sarah Blakely, where she was talking that she had $5,000 left, 5 G's left, and she made this company that's worth, I don't know how much. It's got to be billions.
Billionaire. She is a billionaire.
She's an absolute billionaire. And to listen to her, and to listen to Pitbull, and to listen to yourself, these are inspiring stories, and these are stories that really get me going. and really get me going in the morning. And we want individuals to be equally as inspired as I am and as well as you are.
Right. There's a quote that I recently read, and I don't remember it verbatim, but it was basically about you have to want to succeed as bad as if you were underwater and wanting to breathe, right? Like you have to be like, you have to want it that bad.
Hold on. I remember that quote. Who said that? I can't remember.
I think it was E.T. Preacher, the hip hop preacher.
I think I remember this. Yes. You have, if you're underwater and you're drowning, you want to succeed as much as you want that air every single day.
Yes. And it's those people, like you have to want it bad enough. I mean, I've heard it in a different way before. Like there was a guy and there's a lion about to attack his wife. And so he's going to go after, to try to protect her with everything he's going because he doesn't want something to happen to her, right? Like it's that same level of energy, of gusto that you have to go after your dreams. Like you have to want it that bad or it's not. It could happen, don't get me wrong, but the more adversity that you have to face to get what it is that you want, you're going to have that level of determination or of energy to make it happen.
Right. Who motivates you besides your mom?
That's a great question. I've never really thought about who motivates. I'm such a go person. I mean, there are a lot of guys in the football world and women that play football that are motivating to me. There's women who are doing great things to make an impact, such as, and I'm going to put a little plug for the podcast here. Today for International Women's Day, I have Johanna Ferris on my show. Johanna went to Harvard, went to the NFL league office for 12 years, and then she went over in 2018 to Activision Blizzard to be the commissioner of the Call of Duty League. And then she was promoted to what's called head of league. So she oversees that as well as the Overwatch League. And she's really redefining the experience in esports. And I mean, obviously, as you know, esports is a huge industry now. So, it's neat to see people like that continuing to spearhead change and do great things. Same thing in the NFL. We just saw Maya Shaka, first African-American woman to be named an official, right? And then we had first woman official to be in the Super Bowl last month, first women to win a Super Bowl, the Tampa Bay Bucks. So those people, I'm blessed to know some of them. And it's just amazing to see, again, they're doing their thing. They're going after what it is that they want. And so I'll share one more thing about the podcast. I had Coach Lori Locust on, Coach Locust, Coach Lowe, she's called. She's a defensive coach for the Tampa Bay Bucks. We recorded an episode on the podcast. It released, I believe, beginning of October last year. It was one of the last episodes of my season. Fantastic interview. It is one of my favorite of the entire season because she talks about this story about she had a corporate job for many, many years, ended up playing women's football at the age of 40 or thereabouts. And so she's driving to the tryouts. And there was a moment where she was going to turn around because she's like, what am I doing? These ladies are in their 20s. Here I am in my 40s. I'm going to go try out to play football. Like, who am I kidding? Right? The voice was in her head. But she didn't turn around. And it's because she played football and she established herself there, the opportunities came for her to go into the NFL and become a coach. But had she turned around, her life would have been completely different, right? And so she just has this great story. Jennifer King is another woman coach, running backs coach with the Washington Football Club or football team. We're recording an episode for the podcast here coming up. And so I'm really excited for her to share her story. So there's these women that are really paving the way in what has been a male dominated world. I think those women really inspire me the most because I know what it's like. I mean, I'm in that space in a very different capacity. And I know how much work and rejection and people blowing you off, wasting your time. There's a lot of heartache and headache that's on that road to getting to where you end up being. But
that's the juice of life. That's the juice of life, figuring that out. It's the journey. It really, for our listeners today, for me and for Jen, I know the same for you. That's really the juice of life. That's just, you just go. You just go. I love the trailblazer stories. I love the breakthrough stories. And I'm going to go back a long way because number one, I'm old. And number two, I'm 59. I try out for just about any team right now too. I may walk out, my knee may be mangled, Jen, but you know what? I'm gonna give it my all. It's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna go back, to the 80s when Sandra Day O'Connor became the first female Supreme Court justice. Boy, it was such a day that I remembered when that happened. And, for me and for my family, it was a proud moment, even though we didn't know her, right? But it was a proud moment that somebody was able to break the barrier and to do this. It's just the greatest thing. And these stories really get me going. Just like Roger Bannister breaking the 4-minute mile, right? I mean, all of these stories are just phenomenal. And that's okay. I'm 59. I don't know if the Giants need strong safety. I don't know if I could throw the ball as much anymore, Jen, but I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
if they have an open tryout, I'm sure you'll be there. Ready.
You know what? I may know a couple of people to get a close tryout, but it may be a quick close tryout, Jen. It may be quick. So what else motivates you? What else motivates you?
My why?
Yeah.
My purpose. We talked about this before, but I mean, that should be that is, if you are connected to your why and you have clarity around it, that is going to be the single thing that, I mean, there might be other things that motivate you, but that is at your core, that's what motivates you because you know why you're doing it. You might be doing it for your family, and other things too, but that's what is going to keep you going when you're really at a low or facing an adversity or something happens and you question everything. It's that why that keeps you going,
Right.
And I think as entrepreneurs, we all have those low moments. It might not be a financial low, like, oh, I'm down to my last $5, right? But it might be something happens and you're like, why am I doing this? Right? Maybe it's time to move on. And then you have to really think through, what is the why? What is the purpose behind it? And is that purpose so strong and the connection so strong to you that it's worth continuing on? Right. And anybody that's done great things will say it is, right? Like, I don't care whose story you have, everybody goes through this in some way, shape, or form, on a different scale, different magnitude, but we all have those moments.
Yeah. And you know what? I look at what you just said. You're down to your last $5. I've been there. There. And let me tell you, that's really when you must make those decisions in order to move the ball, because there's mortgages, perhaps there's other things, there's responsibilities and so forth. So, even when you're down to your last $5, do it before you're down to your last $5. That's what I always say, because it just gets to motivate you. Listen to us on Monday mornings to get you motivated and to get you going. That's what we're here for, right?
Yes, absolutely.
When I'm down, and we all, as entrepreneurs, Jen, you and I have spoken about this offline a million times. You're up, woo, it goes down to the lowest low. I have a little picture of my son that I carry with me in my wallet. I just whip that out, and I say to myself, I'm a teacher, I'm a mentor, I'm an educator, I'm a father, and all of that is very important to me. In order for him to learn these lessons, it's extremely important that he carries on that legacy. Families are always rising and falling in America. Keep rising, everybody, and move the ball. Jen, anything else on your mind before we get off the air today?
Yeah, there is. So I was thinking about this morning. So some people like to come up with like their word for the year. And I never did that before last year. But last year I was like, you know what? I'm gonna pick a word. So last year my word was evolve. And I think that was it was a good choice given what all took place in that year. There was a constant evolution and adaptation of my brand and where I was going, because all of us had to do things differently because of the pandemic, right? This year, my word was daring. And so I was thinking about this morning, and I was just like, I'm going to take the shots. I'm going to take the shots. It's all about taking the risks, putting yourself out there. Is every shot going to land? Absolutely not. But all shots that I do not take will not land. Right. So
that's what Wayne Gretzky said, 100% of the shots you don't take don't wind up in that net.
Exactly. And so I was thinking about this morning, and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do today to be daring? And that's kind of my theme. So I share this because I would encourage everybody to think about what is your, if you don't have a word, pick one and let that kind of help drive you in what you do every day. We've talked before about self-talk. You know, every day I tell myself that I will suit up, I will show up, and I will move the ball. But that's not just something I say on my podcast. Like, I live and breathe those words because those words get me fired up in the morning, and they help me through the day when the day isn't going so well. Because there are plenty of days that things don't go great. Like the things we post on social media, everybody sees the great stuff, right? And we're going to talk about something next week that wasn't so great for me recently, right? So it's what you tell yourself that keeps you going. So I think it's important for people to have whatever it is they can tell themselves. It's going to help get them, even write it down, put in your wallet, put in your purse, and you can pull it out and look at it. And I heard it's weird. I remember one day I was flipping through a book, and in the book, there was a note paper or a little notepad, small paper, that said, remember not to cancel on yourselves. We always tend to cancel on ourselves before everybody else. And I have no idea. It's in one of my daughter's handwriting. And I always ask them, I'm like, which one of you wrote this? Like, we didn't write. So I don't know where it came from. But when I'm like, you guys had to have written it. They're like, maybe you wrote it. I'm like, no, it's not my handwriting. But I keep that in my wallet. I don't pull it out all the time, but sometimes when I'm going through my wallet, I see it there, and it's just a subtle reminder. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to cancel on myself.
Yeah. And I have a personal business coach, and he asked me what my word is for the year. And what the first word that came up was dominate, and it's not, and I said to him, it's not in a negative context where I'm going to knock people out of business because that's a personal thing. If you're out of business, that's on you. But I said, to dominate means also to influence. I want to be an influencer in many different realms this year, whether it's my professional life or my personal life. And I want others to dominate too. And I want them to be influencers. We need influencers, positive influencers in the world. And that's where I come from. And if somebody tells you that you can't do it, what is that saying? Your brain is what? Lying to you. It's a liar. Don't believe the lies that the brain is telling you, that the mind is telling you. So my personal coach looked at me and he said, okay, let's strategize. And we put together the plan. And part of it is move the ball every Monday with you. So it's all good. Jen, this was a great conversation today. Thank you very much for being on. Happy International Women's Day. Go out there and dominate. Go out there and just kick booty, right? And be the influencer that you are. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And happy International Women's Day to everyone. Again, I'm glad that we're here celebrating today, and to all the amazing women out there, keep doing you.
Just keep doing you. The book is Move the Ball by Jen Garrett. Where can we get the book, Jen?
Oh, it's on Amazon in ebook and paperback, like you were holding up, as well as the audiobook. And you can also get the audiobook on iTunes.
So get the book. I got a personalized comment from Jen, so you guys don't have that. So that's all good. So I want to thank everybody for listening. Please share this with your family, friends, your neighbors, your coworkers. Inspire them. We're here every Monday. At 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm Dr. Dan, suburbanwellnessgroup.com, greenleafbewell.com. Jen, thank you very much. Everybody, happy International Women's Day. We will see you next week. Take care.